Famara was born in Banjul village on 16 July 1958. 3 years younger than me. He went to Armitage High School in his formative secondary education life. It was at Armitage that Famara was initiated and instilled in him his God-given signature character of self-discipline, compassion, respect, and above all, calm or dull, as the Wolof would say.
Several other speakers, including Papa Lee, Amadou Koli, Governor of the Central Bank of the Gambia, and Aminata Jara of the African Development Bank, also paid glowing tributes to the late Famara Jara. The dignitaries later filed past the coffin to pay their last respects before the body was driven to Banjulining for burial. The scene at the family compound in Banjulining was equally somber, as neighbors and other sympathizers joined family members to mourn the death of their son and brother. Various speakers at the ceremony extolled the virtues of a man whom they described as religious, humble, and respectful. The Vice President, Ajah Dr. Aissatou Njie Sedi, presented $111,000 to the family of the deceased on behalf of the President of the Republic, His Excellency Sheikh Professor Dr. Alhaji Yahya Jammeh, and his former cabinet colleagues also presented $15,000 to the family. His remains were later interred at the Banjul Cemetery, but for the people of this community and the Gambia at large, the demise of one of his most illustrious sons is a great loss which has left a huge vacuum. But his memory lives and will be forever remembered by his relatives, colleagues, and friends. The late Famara Jara is survived by a wife and 3 children. Mamadou Jallow, GRTS.
Well, the untimely demise of Famara Jata left family and friends reeling from shock. The seasoned economist was one of the hosts of Gambian expatriates who attended and participated in the recent meeting that brought together Gambians in the diaspora and those residing and working here for discussions on national development. The Harvard-trained economist fully supported the program for accelerated growth and development, PAGE. Ibrahim Baldi reminds us about the vital intervention he made at the first presentation of PAGE.
It's well overdue. We should implement that and then look at the sales as whether it's private or so. But the most important thing is how do you address domestic resource mobilization? I haven't seen that in PAGE.
Famara Jata was among the list of Gambian experts who had served his time in government as one-time trade and finance ministers and central bank governor. Having served the best part of his time in the public sector, Jata's move to the international community as a public servant working in Sudan and Tunis for the African Development Bank meant that from time to time he often shared during elite gatherings such as this one held at Karaba at the start of the year his knowledge and experience on issues that were put before him. And this was a session that was specifically meant for people like him to contribute his ideas towards the development of his motherland, even though he was mostly away from home. Yet on this day, with colleagues, the session was meant to drum out more support for the program for accelerated growth and employment, PAGE, and Gambian experts abroad were expected to throw their weight behind PAGE.
VAT is well overdue. We should implement that and then look at the sales as whether it's private or so.
This was the last session for him in his capacity as an international civil servant, as an economist, a diplomat, and most importantly, as a patriot. On this historic forum at the start of the new year, Famara Jata has undoubtedly left a void. He died leaving his family and friends and colleagues, talking about things he has done and things he couldn't do while alive.
The Chief of Defense Staff of the Gambia Armed Forces has told the Gambian contingent serving under the United Nations African Mission in Darfur that the Army High Command has gone very far in meeting the material requirements of the contingent. Lieutenant General Masane Kinte made the remarks during his recent visit in Darfur, where he held extensive discussions with members of the Gambian contingent. Abokar Dabo traveled with the CDS delegation to Darfur, Sudan, and this is his report.
Fact-finding mission embarked upon by the Chief of Defense Staff of the Gambia Armed Forces and his delegation of Army High Command to the troubled Sudanese region of Darfur was a giant project with an expansive ambition. Its core objectives were to explore firsthand the situation of the 13th contingent of the Gambia Armed Forces currently serving under the United Nations Africa Mission in Darfur, identify the capacity gap in relation to human resources and equipment, and lastly discuss with mission authorities on improving the situation of his soldiers. The 2 day of flight finally got the delegation to Darfur, where the Chief of Defense Staff, Lieutenant General Masani Kinte, and delegation were received by the UNAMID First Chief of Staff, Brigadier General Modou Sow, Commanding Officer of GAMCOI 13th, Lieutenant Colonel Salifu Bojang, and other senior mission officials, including Landing 13 Baji. The delegation's first port of call was the office of the Acting Force Commander of UNAMID, Major General Juan Jones Kisamba, who with open arms described the CDS visit as a show of absolute care and commitment towards the welfare of his men and women. He harped on the exceeding moral standing and military professionalism Gambian peacekeepers have always exhibited during their course of operation, paying homage to the effective home lessons of the contingent and the guidance of their Army High Command. Lieutenant General Masani Kinte, rejoicing over the words of accolades showered on his men and women underarm, spoke of the importance of his visit as a show of willingness from the Gambia Army and the Commander-in-Chief to provide the needed technical and material support to boost operation in the mission.
We are aware of the difficulties, and that is all the more reason why, having assumed office about 2 years now, I said I must go to Darfur and then see my troops, see how they are doing, see their working and living condition, and then see how best, we can, help to uplift their morale and at the same time, understand, the mission in a proper sense.
Among other things discussed by the two generals was the difficulties incurred by troops traveling to El Fasher, which they concurred must be sorted out at least at military level. The Police Commissioner of UNAMID, James Opong Buano, also held talks with the CDS and delegation, an opportunity used by Buano to appreciate the progressive participation of the Gambian police in peace support operations, as well as highlight their role in Darfur.
When they see a senior officer, a leadership material coming to visit, then at least they know that if something happens, somebody is there to speak on their behalf.
The main highlight of the tedious day's activities was the CDS's meeting with the Gambian contingent, whose commander, Lieutenant Colonel Salifu Bojang, explained the importance of the visit as a show of concern and care for their welfare, as well as one that will significantly boost the morale of the Gambian population in Darfur. Their mandate is crucial to the success of the mission, and the men have never been found wanting in the execution of their mandate, he added. He, however, pointed to the lack of equipment as the key problem militating against their success in the mission area.
It would be good if the Gambia Armed Forces can deploy contingent-owned vehicles, both heavy and light, including generators with a capacity of 75 to 100 kilowatts. If nothing for else, we are losing a lot of money in terms of reimbursement.
In his response, the Chief of Defense Staff expressed satisfaction with the level of patriotism and professionalism with which the troops execute their mandate, saying that they at the helm are aware of some of the problems hindering their operation and have gone pretty far in securing all the necessary equipment needed in the mission.
We are cognizant of the fact that the mission is not only helping individuals, but the mission is helping even the security institutions that we have in the country. We are preparing everything that this contingent would need to stay in the mission area and even to add our numbers if we are allowed to.
The Deputy Permanent Secretary, Minister of Defense, Abdoulaye Ka, and Gambian expatriate Landing 13 Baji both spoke on the need to maintain the good name of the country in the war-torn region, adding that the Gambia government will do its utmost to fulfill its side of the bargain.
Our expectations have been met. Talking to various senior officials here and hearing the commendation they have made and testify on GAMCOI 13 makes me very proud to be part of the Gambia Armed Forces.
I assure you, whilst at home, focus on your policies and support, but for the welfare of the men, we are here.
Later in the evening, the CDS held similar meetings with the civilian police community in Darfur, as well as Gambian expatriates working with the UNAMID. To them also, he emphasized the need to put the country first in all endeavors and to collaborate with their brothers and sisters in the troubled region, especially when the going gets tough. Abubakar Dabo, GRTS.
We'll take a short break. Stay tuned.
Do you know with only $100 scratch card or Nopal you can win your dream home? Kergi, Yai Borom. What? You mean this magnificent